Good morning, and welcome to Live from Currituck Extension. My name is Chris Blaha, for those of you that don't know, and I'm the county's agriculture technician and Master Gardener coordinator. That said, we will be advertising the Master Gardener course very shortly, and if you're interested, please volunteer. We could use the volunteers. We do. You can contact me for the specifics if you would like to get involved with that. Today we're going to be discussing edible landscaping, and if it's kind of a new and upcoming trend that's happening. I mean, it's been around for a few years, where people have been. It's actually been around for a long time, but people are now starting to kind of incorporate this into their landscapes. So that said. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for future classes and for when we're going to go live and our presentations are going to go live. If you have any questions during the class, you can type them in the chat box. And this is going to be, it's not going to be a real long presentation, so I can answer those after the class if you have any questions. And if you have any, some of the links, and for more information, you can look in the description box below and click on those links, and they'll take you to links to articles with more specific information. And you can also contact me at the office. You can email me or contact me at any time, and I'd be happy to help you with that and give you a list of plants and their specific needs that might help you kind of incorporate those into your landscape design. That said, we're not going to wait any longer. We're going to go ahead and get started with this. And so the first thing on the screen I've got here is a picture from a retired professor who was at NC State University, and you can see here he's got a variety of edibles mixed into his landscape, as well as and they offer just a tremendous amount of color and texture, which if you were present for my landscape design classes, that's instrumental in landscape design, and you can really do a lot of interesting things with ornamental or with edible plants mixed in with your ornamental plants. So the first thing we'll talk about with edible landscaping is espalier. And what that is training fruits or vegetables on wires. And you can see here, they can be done on walls, wires, fence posts, really anything. And it really offers you a way to, it's easy access to your fruit or vegetables. And it also gives you a place to incorporate these into small areas. Or you can use the espalier, as you see here, for a barrier or, between neighbors or between areas in your yard that you might want to screen off. So it's really an interesting way. And it looks really neat. It really gives it a design feature that's kind of unique. And as you can see in this picture, this is a really interesting picture of apple trees that have been espaliered, and they really are. They've created a tunnel here, and it is absolutely fantastic. I thought I would include this picture in here, and that would take a tremendous amount of time to do this, and years and years and years to mature to a point to get to this point. So, depending on what age you are when you start this, you may not see it fully evolve into this until you may not be around when it evolves into this. So this would definitely be something that you would be doing, for future generations, if you decided you wanted to create something this elaborate. So, make sure one thing you can do is include fruit trees as either your understory or your small trees in your landscape designs. And in this picture, I've included several different ideas for including those fruit trees, as well as on the previous side, the espalier for smaller, areas. You can also incorporate, or you can put them on fences and walls, as I said before, or you can have them freestanding in your landscape, mixed in with your ornamentals, or just mixed in, growing from your lawn. And it really does add an interesting aspect to landscape design, is incorporating these edibles into your landscape. Another thing you can do, you can use different things. So instead of using, say, junipers or liriope or mondo grass or the normal things that you see used as ground covers, You can use edibles as ground covers, and you can see in these two examples. This on the left hand side, you can see strawberries, and it really formed a great ground cover. And it gives you, it gives you early blooms, it gives you interesting foliage and texture, and you get to eat from it. So it's a side benefit and added benefit to it. And on the right hand side, you can see different kales and cabbages that they've used in a very elaborate way. And I don't want to like to think what that would cost you, but you can certainly tackle that if that's something you like. It's very interesting. But I found that picture on the internet. I thought that was a pretty interesting picture. And with strawberries, I'll give you a little bit on strawberries. You want, make sure they've got well-drained soil, and they need 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight. Make sure that you use the correct cultivars for the area. If you want them to make sure that they're disease and insect free, that's going to really help by using the correct cultivars. Make sure you set the individual strawberry plants 12 to 18 inches apart in the spring. And you want to allow the runners to develop a mass over the entire bed. Clean cultivation of strawberries is absolutely essential. And strawberries are perennials, but their beds do need to be renovated every 3 to 4 years. So every 3 to 4 years, you're going to need to renovate those beds. So you might need to put some compost down as well. And make sure you're fertilizing those also. Your edible landscapes, they're going to need fertilizer to produce. So you want to make sure you fertilize those, and you really should be fertilizing all of your ornamental plants as well every year. It really does help them fight off disease and pests and things like that. So the next one we're going to go over is going to be forming screening hedges with edibles, and there really is a lot you can do with this as well. I've included a picture on the left here of blueberries. And blueberries make a phenomenal screening hedge, and they give you, of course, the added benefit of the fruits that you can pick off in the year. On the right-hand side, you can see asparagus. Now, most people don't see asparagus like this, but if you allow asparagus to grow, it grows into a nice hedge and almost has a fern-like appearance. So it gives you a really interesting texture in your landscape. And then above it, you can also see that the blueberries actually give you another interesting texture that's really hard to mimic without blueberries. And blueberries will give you an added feature of some red foliage in the fall. In this area, I would suggest using rabbit eye and stay away from the high bush varieties. There are a couple of southern high bush varieties that work well in this area, but predominantly the rabbit eye do best in this area. Blueberries will not tolerate the cold climate, or the high bush. Rabbit eye will not tolerate the cold climate of the mountains as the high bush will. But blueberries are an ideal year-round addition to your landscape. They have delicate white or pink flowers in the spring, followed by the blue fruit. But make sure you're paying attention. That blueberries, they do prefer acidic soil, so most of the cultivars prefer between 4.5 and 5.5 pH. So that's going to promote the best growth. So after that, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about incorporating where you might want to incorporate herbs into your edible landscape. And these are 3 different examples of really interesting ways to incorporate herbs into a landscape. And as you can see, you can really do a lot with textures and colors and everything just by incorporating edibles into your landscape. I know I've said that before, but it's you can see by these pictures, it's really interesting. And you can do this elaborately, or you can go and just take a look at your landscape and areas and holes that you may have, that you may be able to substitute other plants that you want to remove. Maybe they're unsightly or they're just not performing well. Maybe when you remove that plant, instead of adding an ornamental plant, you might want to consider adding an edible plant in there mixed in with it. And for me, as I'm working in the garden, in my ornamental gardens, and I come across one of these edible plants, I find it's just very satisfying to me to be able to pick the fruit right off that plant and eat it. And it's just kind of interesting while you're working outside to see that. So some of the herbs that work really well, especially in a full sun bed that's kind of dry. Most herbs can tolerate quite a bit of drought as well. in full sun. So some of the ones you may want to consider using are thyme, basil, oregano, rosemary, lemon balm, and mint. And there are plenty of other options out there as far as herbs go. So really, it's really about just doing the research and looking and seeing what's going to work best for you in your area. Okay, so next we're going to go into a little bit. We're going to talk the next slide. We're going to talk a little bit. Went a little too far there. The next one we're going to talk about natives. So there are several native trees that you can incorporate, or varieties of herbs and flowers that you can incorporate into your landscape design. And some of them you may already have that you just don't know that you have there. So one of them would be echinacea or a coneflower. Several people have echinacea or coneflower in their landscapes, and it is edible. So just it might be a good idea to pull up some edible plant lists or contact me, and we can go over what you have, or you can take the list and go through your yard and see what you have that may be edible. In this example that I have on the screen, I used a persimmon tree, which you will see growing all over the place. And in this area, I've even seen them in Corova growing along the canals right in the sand dunes. So they, or at least our native variety does. And that one, it's really prolific. And like I said, it can be used in almost any landscape. And the one on the right is, a lot of people don't realize that this is an edible plant, or even that we have them in this area. It's called a pawpaw tree. And these fruits of this are edible, and it does make it's a fast growing tree, and it makes a nice addition to the texture in your landscape as well. And finally, I've included this picture. I found this really interesting. This is just a really lovely garden that has been really nicely laid out. And you can see that they've staggered the colors and the textures really well. It's very appealing to the eye. And you can also see that they've staggered the heights appropriately as well. So that's important. And really, it depends on which aspect you're looking from. But really, from any viewpoint from the street that the people are going to see, you can see that the plants are staggered at the right heights. So that's pretty much all I have for edible landscaping. Please, folks, go outside and enjoy your landscapes, and try to add some edibles into your landscape. This is a great time this coming fall it's a great time now to start actually thinking about it, and maybe getting some ideas of where you might want to put these. And then you can install some of these in the fall, and then again in next spring. All right, and that's pretty much all I had to talk about today. So I appreciate everybody tuning in for this episode of Live from Currituck Extension. If you have any questions, we'll finish answering those now. If not, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications. Check the description box below for the links from our class, our social media sites, and our evaluation for today's class. And remember, this evaluation is very important. This helps us to improve our classes. And we use your suggestions to create future content for our classes. And we really pay attention to these and put a lot of emphasis on these. So please take the time to fill those evaluations out. The next class will be Wednesday, and Ms. Sheila Gregory will be teaching that class, and it will be about healthy alternatives to children's snacks. So don't forget to tune in Wednesday at 11:30. Thank you, and have a great day.